Black Cat Lounge is sponsored by Paranormal Oddities, the little store with the big heart. Dragonfly, Art and Soul. Niagara, where the real ghosts of Lockport hang out. Wild Raven Candles for those magical times. Queen of Tarts, Metaphysical and Bake Shop. Hey everybody, this is Tim Shaw, and welcome back to the Black Cat Lounge, where the coolest people in the world hang out. Sometimes we have pants on, sometimes we don't, but we have a young lady as our guest today, one of our guests today. So yes, we all have to have pants on for a change. Well, we'll talk about that later, because the other guest, he never wears pants. He's always got these shorts on, and he walks around and they're like perfuming and all that stuff going out. But we'll talk about him in a bit. How's everybody doing tonight? It's really great to have you guys stop in. And my voice is a little hoarse because I'm fighting off a little bit of a bug, but that's just the way it is here in Western New York. Western New York, we're all full of bugs, and you just can't make it out the winter without getting a little something. But anyway, we got a great show for you tonight. But I wanted to show you guys one of my latest acquisitions. Back in the Victorian age, a lot of funeral directors had side jobs, and most of these side jobs were, are you ready for this? You ready for this? They were furniture salesmen. They built furniture, they sold furniture, that sort of thing. So I picked up this calling card recently, and it's circa, let's see, we got that. It's circa roughly about 1860, 1870. And you'll see parlor, chamber, and dining room furniture. And you'll see, and funeral director. Listen, this covers everything from birth to death. You know what I mean? But that's what they did. I mean, this is what a lot of people, because many of these furniture people, they would go and they would build coffins. And we're not talking about your really simple coffins. We're talking about more elaborate coffins. So you would have to go to a furniture maker in order to go and bring them all together. So it's really a unique piece of history. And when you get a chance to find stuff like this, you grab it. And I just love seeing that. And by the way, before we go on, I want to say hi to Melanie, Keith. Hey, Deb, how are you? Peg, how are you? Peg is one of the best people in the world, just to let you guys know. She's one of my favorites. Joanne, Rick, the Monster Perry. Rick, give everybody a little flex, because I know that everybody's just waiting for you to give me a little flex. Okay, there you go. Hey, tonight I want to bring on two people that I really love and adore. Really great people. I've seen them blossom over the years when it comes to working in the paranormal field, creating a very important location. So without further ado, let me bring on, well, two of my favorite people. Oh, by the way, John is in the room. Everybody, shh, don't talk about John and his you-know-what with the Amish. Okay, shh, we won't talk about that. Let me bring on two people that are really great. They work hard. They're hustlers. They work so hard at a great location in Lockport, New York. And Lockport, New York is a really haunted location. There's a lot going on in Lockport. It was an old canal town, and this location is probably one of the neatest places that I've been to in Western New York in a very long, long time. Because most of the time I go to museums, or I'll go to, old mansions or something. But very seldom do you get a chance to walk into a place that has so much overlapping history, and it's just a unique place. It's called the Western Block, R247. So guys, let me introduce, ladies first, Heather Grimmer and the one and only Frank the Lunker Krupka, the man, the myth, the legend. Hey guys, how are you tonight? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Good, thank you.
Hey, the first thing I gotta go and I gotta ask you guys, and this is going to the wonderful Miss Heather. Miss Heather, you're seemingly normal. Seemingly, I mean, you come off as a normal person, and what possessed you to buy this hulk of a property? I mean, because I'm going to be honest with you, it's amazing because it's so big. It's kind of tucked away, across from the modern Erie Canal, because the original Erie Canal was a little bit further away. What possessed you to buy this? Because I would look at it and go, I have simply no creativity. I would look at it and say, well, I could open it up to homeless people. That's about all I could, because I'm not that imaginative. But what you have done is amazing. So tell everybody why you bought it and its early development.
Okay, well, I had a childhood dream to own an art school, and I always wanted to become an architect before I even know what the word was for it. So I actually went to school for college for architecture, and when I left college, life took me in a completely different direction. But I wound up at the Western Block as a resident artist tenant, doing a whole lot of web design. And my background, my life kind of switched me into different managerial positions. And I amassed all this knowledge on how to run large companies. I was the chief operating officer of the Central Terminal in Buffalo, ran a restaurant as a general manager, just a bunch of this different eclectic backgrounds. And the owners at the time of the industrial complex, the Western Block, approached me as they were retiring and asked if I wanted to purchase it and take over. And it was almost like a culmination of everything I had learned up until this point in my life. And it was almost a no-brainer. So they didn't tell me it was haunted before I took it over. That was a nice little addition. But it was a lifelong dream. So I've just been building on it ever since.
Now, what I love about it is the fact that you actually went and you supported it beforehand. So you got a really nice feel for the building itself. When you first walked in there, now I won't listen. First of all, I won't go into the very first time I went in there, but I'll go into the very first time that Frank invited me in there. And which is a whole story for another campfire, Kang. Yeah. but anyway, I got to tell you that it was weird when I walked in there. It almost had a very homey feeling for me. I mean, I was a blue collar guy, and there's a lot of industrial stuff still around there, and I really enjoyed it. And it was really just it was like just a unique place, but it felt like home. Is that the way it felt like for you?
Absolutely. And we actually have journals from the previous director who owned the factory, William Keenan Jr. And in his journals, you can sense that same feel all through his career and his presidentship. So that's been a long running theme here, and absolutely something that I've always carried on, and the previous owners of the art gallery carried on as well.
Yeah. Now, we'll get to Frank in a second because
I'm good. I like listening to her talk. We're all right.
Yeah. You listen. You're like me. You talk to a rock on a Friday night. Anyway, Heather.
Most times I do. They're on the other side of the bar.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, Heather, when you first walked into the place, did you ever get the sense that it was haunted, or is that something that came about later on? Because I know a lot of places that I've gone in and I've either had, office time or whatever, you can sense there's something going on in there. But most people just kind of walk in there and they're like flatlined as they walk in. Did you ever feel anything a little unusual?
Oh, like right off the bat, the way I got my studio was incredibly unusual. I woke up. I can't remember why I had the day off from work, but a thought popped in my head to come down and visit the art gallery. And it just so happened when I walked in, somebody had just moved out of a studio, and they're like, "Hey, interested in renting a studio?" And it all just really randomly clicked in this weird, strange way. So right off the bat, it was almost like the building called me. And then lo and behold, fast forward and I now own it and I'm running it. Um, Initially, when I was here, I'd be here at 2 a.m. And a night owl usually, and I was also very introverted at the time, a little less so now, but I'd hear people moving around, walking around in the building, and I wouldn't really think anything of it. I wouldn't go out and say hi because I was so introverted and I kind of kept to myself. And it wasn't until I took over and my own tenants started approaching me and saying, "Hey, there's somebody in the building, but I can't find them. I keep hearing somebody walking around. Can you check the cameras?" Okay. Pull up the cameras and, where did you say you heard this? And, they say, well, right now, I hear the footsteps right now outside in the hall. And I checked the camera, nobody would ever be there. So that's kind of when things started to connect. And, I started talking with the previous owners more, and their daughter, niece, works for me. And she started filling me in on a lot of the activity that used to happen to them when they were here. So
It's sort of
yeah,
like, ooh, surprise,
yeah.
surprise. That's
But
excellent.
it's yeah, I mean, it's definitely I've always felt stuff, but I had put a wall up for the most part, and
Mhm.
it wasn't until I really started doing these that I allowed myself to start really interacting again. So
Well,
You're
that's
welcome.
excellent. Oh,
You're
now
welcome.
okay. Now
yeah,
Frank. Wait a minute. Now Frank, let's go with you.
Oh boy. Okay.
For those that don't know by now, Frank's a good friend of mine, and I like to refer to him as a lunker because he's a bodybuilder, and
Oh no, I just lift weights.
he just lifts weights. He
I just
lifts.
lift weights about
Listen, he
it.
just but he
I
just
like
he
weights too
just
much.
he goes and strangles tractors is what the hell he does. Don't let anybody kid you. He's a big boy. And and I don't know if I told you this one, Heather, but Andrea Perrin, the creator of the trilogy of books on the Conjuring House. Andrea, one of the youngest daughters, she's got the hots for him.
You
All
met
I
her.
heard, all I heard was, I just saw this man walking, this huge mountain of a man walking down the aisles, and I just knew it was Frank. And I'm like, yeah, okay. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough to be you, Frank. But anyway, your background is basically you were getting involved with paranormal, and you guys, and early on you were going out there and you were going to do some work, some YouTube work and stuff. And now, primarily, your focus is prisons. Tell us a little bit about that.
About my life in prison. It kind of was, well,
Listen, no, you listen. Don't be a lunker your whole life. He was a
listen,
CO, okay? He wasn't. He
what?
wasn't behind the bars. He was in front of the bars. So tell us why you have an interest in, in that. This is
I love
Heather.
I
I'm
love
sorry. This is going to be an interesting. This is going to be
listen.
an interesting. Okay, you're on. You're on.
Cheers. What? They want to know what you're doing. No, I do have a very a great interest in any of the prisons, whether it's Alcatraz, West Virginia, Mansfield, whether it be Attica or Sing Sing. Those are still up and running prisons. If they ever do close, I would definitely love to go through them. There's a lot of energy in them. There's a lot of activity in them, and as you know, I'm putting some together now. But as you get asked these questions, why do you think this is haunted, or why do you think this or does that? What people don't really understand and what they don't realize about prisons is they are the world encapsulated in a very, very small area. So, and by a small area, let's just say a prison is 14 acres long, 14 acres wide or bigger, and you have a big giant prison on it, to take all of the world's energy and just stick it in between those walls and those 4 walls or those fences or whatever you want to use. It's a lot of energy that's in there, whether it's good energy, bad energy, negative, positive, it doesn't really matter. So I believe that the energy doesn't go, because those people, that's their life right there. They're in there for minimum 10 years, a lot of them, 10, 12, 14 years. You spend a lot of your life inside those walls. You have anxieties, you have good days, you have bad days, you have death, you have tragedy, you have all kinds of things. So all of these energies together form it's kind of like walking into one of those big high EMF fields. You get a hard sense of, sometimes your stomach turns, sometimes, it just feels like you're walking into a giant ball of energy that you can't control. I mean, we all went to West Virginia State Penitentiary. I have no issue walking through the yard. John is in the room now. Him and Heather both look at me and they're like, how are you just walking through here? I'm like, yeah, it's nothing. I mean, to me, it's nothing. You remember yourself had a little issue because of all that energy. I'm used to all of that energy.
A little issue? No, it was a lot of issue going out in the yard.
I'm used to all that energy. It's there for me every single day, especially when you step inside a jail, it's always there. So it's not, and a lot of people say, well, jails are evil, they're this. It's really not. I mean, yes, there's evil people in there, don't get me wrong. But as far as all that energy and the devil and this and that, it really comes down to the fact that you have to look at, you're encapsulating when as a medium or a psychic or whichever, when you're walking around the streets, that energy is all over the place, but it's not concentrated because it's not encapsulated, as I'm saying. You step inside that jail, those walls keep that energy there. It's kind of like a force field or a bubble that just drops on you. And to me, that's why I believe jails and stuff are most haunted, or you're going to get a lot of activity, because all that energy stays right there, because a lot of those guys don't want to leave. They stay right there.
Do you think that that's the reason why you have that attraction to Western Block?
Because of the energy?
Yes, because of the concentrated energy. And we're going to talk about history
with
Heather just in a couple seconds. But I mean, when you walk in there, you can feel that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of locations, like, with Conjuring House too. There's a ton of energy in there. But again, to me, that energy is all
right,
like day-to-day, everyday activity. It's not a completely dark or completely light. It's everybody's anxieties, everybody's things, everything that was going on within that house, whether people lived there or they didn't live there, tenants in and out. However, it was all of that was encapsulated inside those walls. And to me, that's why walking into a lot of places, I don't have an issue walking in anywhere, because that energy field doesn't hit me like a lot of other people.
Right. Now, Heather, let's talk about the history of, that was an evil laugh.
There's just so much of it.
Well, I mean, because a lot of people see the problem with public tours is that most people go in on a public tour and they don't have a clue what's going on. They don't care what's going on. The history wise, it's like, yeah, whatever, bring the ghosties out to let them do a little tap dance in front of me, and then I'm going home. Yeah. Whereas somebody like us, we get a little bit more involved in it. We love the history, and when we start looking at the history behind it, it's really an interesting the best way I can say is a mishmash, because again, I mean, you got the canal, you got all this stuff going on. Tell us, I was going to say encapsulate it, but you don't have to. You can just Heather. Listen, Heather, I've heard the 50-cent spiel. You can give the 50-cent spiel here, because I think it's important. I really do. Yeah. I think it's important because of the fact that the building spans so many eras, so many different things that went on there, that I think people need to know exactly what they're walking into when they walk into that place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so anything here that we've interacted with, it hasn't been dangerous. But that's not to say dangerous things didn't happen here. A lot of dangerous things happen here, both just as part of running the factory, as well as accidents and the more mischievous intentional kind of stuff. But this property actually dates back to when Lockport was forming, when the Erie Canal was forming. And we've got 3 buildings on our property that were built from stone quarried out of the canal as they were building the canal. So very old. That was back in the early 1800s. And we just don't have the kind of documentation because they didn't keep records back then on the very beginning of what was in those buildings. But over time, the property was built up, torn down, and built up some more until about the late 1800s, when the Western Block came in and really started purchasing all of the different buildings outright and building the Western Block. But during the span of time, they didn't own the entirety of the property. We had a police station on site. We had a fire department on site. We had different little cottages at one point, so people actually were living on the property, boiler rooms, and then the Western Block. But the Western Block's really unique because they used to hydropower the entire complex. And it was those hydropowered raceways, they called them, where the channels that the water came down. It was those raceways that really were a key component, not only to running the factory, but some of the more mischievous stuff that occurred here in connection with Prohibition. This property was a very critical spot. And, some of the things the mafia did, Little Italy of Lockport. They were connected with Prohibition, and they used to use the raceways to move that alcohol around. So a really unique location for us because not only was all that going on, we were one of the central locations, Lower Town, historic Lower Town now. It is a nationally recognized district. But Lower Town was the key spot in Lockport. It was the key hub, the key part of the city, and all the houses were in the upper areas, which is now where mostly the main part of Lockport is. So a lot of rich history here, everything from the very beginning of when the canal was built. We still have the buildings that stand today. And then a lot of that historically significant stuff where, Prohibition, the movement of alcohol, and we get a lot of interesting reactions because of all that. So walking into a location like ours, you may get someone from 200 years, anywhere in this 200 years period. We've had visitors from art teachers who just recently passed, to people we've come across that were clearly from the 1800s. And, walking into a location like this, it's always good to have a background of the history so that when you start to interact and have those conversations with the spirits that are still here, you can be both respectful to them, as well as try to figure out when they're from, who they are, and in those further questions that you want to ask to really, cue in on who they may possibly be and who you're interacting with and how to interact with them. Because you're not going to use slang on someone who's, from 200 years ago. It's not going to go over so well. And you probably need to be a little careful with the buttons you push with our Little Italy guys. We like to push buttons.
Oh, yeah.
We have a
Well,
little fun with that.
well,
But they
yeah,
know us.
well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, we're not. They have an area they call the Speakeasy area, and rumor has it that there may or may not have been a bordello at one time.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Most places that I have actually investigated or have researched, when it comes to when it comes to places that served alcohol during Prohibition, or they were close to some kind of transportation lines, which the canal was really still active then.
Yeah.
They all had a lot of they had rooms for rent. How's that? We'll just put it mildly, rooms for rent. And what I found is that there's always something that's left over. And I remember going, it just kind of slipped out because I remember I was investigating there with you one time, and what came out of my mouth was, "Are you a hooker or are you a whore?" I will never do that again. Never do that again, because all I know is every REM pod light went on, every EMF K2 went on. I was like, holy crap. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to refer to you like that. I'm sorry. But it's, it was funny because I'm just kind of like working it, not thinking, and I just kind of like let it out by accident. And I found that, we must be a little bit more, I have to be a little bit more judicious with my terms. How's that? I'll just say that. We'll just
They were perfect.
yeah. Wait a minute, right there, Andrea. Oops. Yeah, that was an oops, Andrea. I don't really do a lot of oops like but yeah, that was definitely an oops. And yeah, yes, they did. They responded. And the thing that I found is that the other thing is when you guys start mentioning, and I've been there a few times, whenever, I'm, they find that when the police pick me up in the gutter and I'm laying there in the gutter and I have a little sign that says, take me to Western Block, and they take me to Western Block to help you, to walk behind your tours. I have noticed that when you bring up about any kind of mafia or Cosa Nostra subject, you start getting a little bit more of a response in there. And I often wonder if that's because is that a residue from those times, or is that something that might be even kind of carried over until when the building was an actual factory itself, because I often wonder that, about if, if there's a little infiltration there.
Well, so prohibition happened actually during the time that the factory was running and operating. So they kind of go hand in hand, and it's interesting because during that time at the beginning of the prohibition, the police department was right on site. It was and the police department, and where we know they were dumping the barrels of alcohol into a raceway. It's still a channel, an old spring that they turned into a channel and used as part of the raceway. We know that they were dumping barrels from a brewery that was at the top of the hill. Those barrels would come down into the stone building that I'm actually sitting in today, and they would catch it out of the raceway and then move it around from there, or continue it on under the canal and out to 18 Mile Creek. But it's peculiar because the back of this building connected to the fire department and it connected to the police department. We're not sure whether the police department knew about the activity here, we're assisting, we're covering it up, or they were just turning a blind eye. Those are the kind of questions that I love bringing up here to try to dive in and kind of get some of those answers from the individuals themselves. And of course, those individuals we interact with, they like to not tell us or shut us up or make it known that that is not a topic we should be discussing out so openly, with everybody. But I don't know. It's kind of fun. We built a rapport now, I think.
Slowly but surely.
It's a little...
We still get shut down, though. We still get radio silence on a lot of things when you ask them.
Yeah. But now we'll hear on our spirit boxes, very clear answers, like go ahead and tell her, or no, don't tell her, or no, I'm not allowed to have the combination to the safe. Guess who opened the safe? We got it open. So like it's funny little things like that where you can see the personalities develop with the people here that we're interacting with, and yeah, it's so incredibly interesting to me.
Makes it fun too.
Let me just say, let me just ask you guys, because a lot of people automatically will assume, and you know what assume means, so that automatically, if there is a mob connection or something that may be negative, the location is permeated with negativity.
Yeah.
No.
I have yet to find anything negative when I've gone to Western Block. And I think if people walk in there thinking that there's something negative, they're going to walk out thinking that there's something negative because of the fact that they are making an assumption. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've walked into some shit places. I've walked in some places where it's like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here and take a shower from the inside out because it's that bad, you know. And I've never had a problem there. Now, Frankie, baby, let's
Yes.
let's talk about you and what are some of the things that really stand out when you start talking about walking into this place and trying to go and work to do a paranormal investigation. I'm not talking about public because publics
Right.
are totally different. We all know that publics are totally different than privates. What stands out to you being someone who actually works there on a regular basis?
Just like Heather says, a lot of the history. It's nice to know she does a ton of research. She finds rabbit holes that nobody else would ever find. I get messages all the time, and I'm just like, and I love reading the stuff that she finds because I'll go through and I'll try to find something, and all of a sudden I'll find one thing and she finds 100,000 different things. But it's great because at least one of us can do that research, so we can go in and ask questions. And now now you're walking through the building, and you're wondering what was going on over here, what was going on over there. What if I started asking these questions here and those questions there? Could we drum up this or drum up that? Now we know when we go up to the third floor that where we take, much smaller groups than anything else, and that, some people have been up there. We know that we can get a lot of that interaction with those mobster type people because it seems that would be a place where they would hide or they would have brought stuff up to hide. So we do get a lot more interactions there, plus down in that speakeasy. So the speakeasy area you had mentioned. So in those two areas, we've been trying to figure out how to connect those two together as to what actually went on in those areas and how they interacted with each other, because they're pretty much in the same location. One's just up and one's down. So it's just a matter of that. But walking in, I walk in with an open mind, like you said. There's nothing evil or nothing nasty there, and it's just a matter of. So now when I walk through, I'll walk through when we're there, and I'll try to formulate a game plan in my head as to what we want to do. Do we always follow that? No, because something will take us one way or something will take us another. You've been there with us when we started to do a Ouija board session or a dowsing rod session. We were going to get on one subject, and all of a sudden we went to another subject, and for another half hour we were doing a whole different set of questions. So it can take you wherever it wants. And the building has and Heather knows this as well, the building has a tendency to either attract you or eliminate you. If it doesn't want you around, it will get rid of you. And it's been known to happen. So it brings us in and it draws us in. And I went there the other day to get my boxes for the investigation we did Saturday night. And I'm standing there, I'm going, I gotta leave. But something was calling me to go upstairs to, hey, come talk to me. But I'm like, I gotta leave. And so I ended up leaving. But it's just that type of energy, that type of, hey, we're here, come talk to us and hang out with us, that kind of thing. That's what really attracts me.
Now, I got to ask you guys have a pretty compelling piece of evidence. It's a shadow, looks like a shadow person crossing, it looks like a doorway. And I'm going to be honest with you. I know you guys have tested it out to see the way the shadows run. I've tested it out myself personally. I could not figure out. Well, you guys, all I'm going to say is I can't figure out if this is something that may have been naturally occurring. I can't figure it out because I've seen all the tricks of the trade, and I'm really shocked. So, guys, tell us about this compelling piece, because it's pretty wild.
Do you have it to show everybody?
No, I don't. I don't have
it. But
here's
first off, if anybody wants to see the video, it's on YouTube. Just search Paraniagra Western Block, and you'll see our thing. And it's the only video up right now.
So tell us about it. Oh,
so getting onto that video, as we try to disprove it or have our tours come in and tell us we're full of it, disprove it. we've had 275 people, 300 people through.
Oh, more, yeah. Yep. Every
One-
group we brought in.
Yep. And not one of them can actually say that it's this, that, or the other thing. Now, we did have one girl who was a film editor. Is that what she was?
Yeah. Film editor
And-
student, I think. Yeah.
Something like that. And she was like, well, you know, I know how you can edit this and do this and do that and do that. So Heather's like, great. Sent her the original clip from the original camera. We've yet to hear back from her. So she either didn't do it, or B, said, screw these two. I can't figure it out. I'm not sending it back to them. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's what happens. But describe what it is, because people are, I think for me, being in so many places, so many haunted locations, to see that is simply amazing. Now, this was caught only because it went on, because it's like you have like a motion detector on, you know, and that's the only way that this security camera would go on. So you guys tell me about it.
So we were doing, it was the second weekend in October of our very first tours in 2020. And we had just brought a group up from upstairs. They were explaining how EMF works with the electric panel. And they were just about to take them down the one hallway we went, because it was a smaller group. So if you're ever at the Western Block and you're upstairs and you look through, you come up the black stairs and you look to your right, the classroom is right there. So I happened to just turn and look through the doorway of the classroom, and I went, really? It was a full figure shadow of a person. And no doubt in my mind, it was a person. I thought originally it was Heather coming up the other stairs, because we were still new to the place and didn't really know the layout all that great at this point. So I thought she was coming up the back stairs from outside. Well, after the classroom's not very big, it's probably maybe 20 feet long. I'm looking and I'm like, well, I don't see Heather. So now I walk into the classroom and like, she's not in there. She's not up in a little alcove where they have another set of studios. And now it hits me. I'm like, what the hell was that? So when I come out, I look around, she's still not there. And then I hear her coming up the stairs from downstairs. And I asked her, were you over there? Did you come through there? Did you come and check something and go downstairs? She says, no, I just locked everything up and came up through here. And I said, well, you better check your security camera. And I explained to her what I had seen. She said, all right. And we just kind of went on with the rest of the tour. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, you know what? Okay, I think I know what I think I know what I saw. I don't know what I saw. But I just kind of blew it off as like, well, it's one of those personal experiences that you get that you can tell somebody and they kind of look at you like, yeah, all right, I'll check the camera later on, whatever. Well, 4 o'clock in the morning, we're all done. 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm home. I check my phone. I check Facebook Messenger, and lo and behold, there's a 4-second clip of that shadow going across. And I was like, I think I woke the whole house up. I think because I was like, because you know as well as I do, Tim, you never get that type of confidence. There it is, right there. There it is. You never get that type of confirmation when you see something and it actually gets caught on camera for you to actually show people. So
if everybody's looking, you can actually see the figure to the left. And there she goes.
Yep, that's what it was. That's exactly what it did.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, because of the fact that you never get something like that. That's like a once in a lifetime shot. So that's great. And the best part about it is when you look at it, it looks as if the figure has a bustle.
Yeah.
You know, that type of a dress, you know.
Right.
So, you know, we're talking early 1900s.
Yeah.
I really thought that's an amazing piece. That's an amazing piece. But speaking about amazing, something else is going on, because it's already we're already like chewing up time here. You guys got to tell us a little bit about up on that third floor. I'm going to tell you guys, first of all, up on that third floor is dangerous as hell. I will tell you, it is great because it's so dirty. I love it up there.
Awesome.
But
one of my favorite places.
Oh my God, it's mine. Definitely mine of the whole place. But when Nick Groff was up there, Nick Groff has a new show, It's called Death Walker. And how many times has he been there? Twice? 3 times? Twice?
Twice now.
He captured something that was like, even I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. Tell everybody about that, because it's like, I was even like, I don't even know if I want to stand close to that place.
I don't know. I can't explain it. I haven't seen anything like that ever before. So I know that room has a ton of energy and a lot of activity. So I I don't know.
It
There
was
was a fire at one point in that area. I don't know if it was connected to that, but I mean that doesn't look human. So
No, all I know is when you look at it, you see these shelves and this hand, this big, like huge deformed hand reaches out, and they caught it on tape. I'm like,
Yep.
where did this come from?
yeah.
That's amazing. Because when we were all at the Death Walker premiere party, or the premiere at the Riviera Theater in Tonawanda, he showed that piece of evidence, and that piece that is a crazy piece of evidence to find. Do you think that this was something that maybe was like, hey, look at me, I'm the star here, not you? Or do you think maybe it was like, you know, just do you think maybe it might have been left over from the fire, somebody trying to reach out to pull something? What, do you guys have any kind of theory on that?
I haven't been able to wrap my head around that one. We haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to go up and do some more investigations ourselves on that specifically. I mean, we poked and prodded some of the mafia guys up there, but I think that's definitely on our goal list, to start, asking the questions up there to see if we can get more on what else is up there. Because when we are up there, I mean, we hear a lot of things being thrown around in that area.
Yes.
To have that on video was exceptional.
Plus, on top of it, I'll never forget, we were up there one time, and I've never seen these great big muscle guys duck so quick in my life and run out. I've never seen people drop to the floor, and it was
Run
just
out.
little tiny bat, about this big, little tiny bat flying through, and I'm used to it because
Big.
it was
Listen,
Frank. It wasn't a pterodactyl.
It was no smaller than that bat you ducked at Wildwood.
Oh my God, no, that's true.
Listen, you know what the guys did? They left me and Andrea.
Look, she says you're bigger us.
Yeah. Well, they ran out, and I'm just like standing there going, well. No, it's true, because I mean, it's funny when when something like that happens, you're like not expecting it, and it comes down, it just flies right at you, and I was standing there. The rest of you guys are all covering your heads, but I was standing there. I was just laughing because I could. It was just too funny. It was just too funny. And again, when after you get a couple of them come at you, you don't really worry about it. But it's like I don't have any hair to have to go and let them try to get out of. But I like that, Andre. It's okay. Heather and I will take care of it. Damn right. But yeah, that was
clearing the way to make things safe. Just briskly walking, right, John? Briskly walking.
Briskly walking. Just don't step in anything because you'll slide. Don't stay too close to anybody. What did Peg? We need to do investigations with the tennis racket. That is funny.
It is an old industrial building, and there's bat mating season. Can't get around it.
But one of the things I will always remember is we had my buddy Sean up there, and Sean is my little adventure buddy. Sean, my buddy Sean Willard. I take him to the craziest places, and it's so funny because I never tell him where we're going, and I say, Sean, you want to go for an adventure? Yeah, okay. He's got a day off. Let's go. We take off.
Don't tell him he'd never go.
No, he wouldn't. He would. So I've taken him to Hinsdale, and I've taken him out to Wildwood, and places like that. So we come to Western Block. My favorite thing in the world. Frank is telling him about a door that opens on command and closes on command. So he's walking through and he's like, this door, is this the door? And I'm like, yeah, this is the door. So I'm standing there and he's right behind me. I mean, he's like right on my shoulder. And I said, would you open up for us, please? The friggin' door slowly opens up. I'll never forget that. It opens up. And I'd say about a quarter of the way. I said, thank you. Could you shut it? The door slowly shuts, right? Closes and latches, right? You hear the latch go? I turn around, Sean is on the other side of Frank, and they're behind us. I'm like, my poor buddy. He gets the worst. He gets the brunt of my fun. But
all I heard was nope.
And that's what I heard. That's what nope, no way. Nope. I'll say I just saw him not too long ago. I said to his dad, I was telling his dad the story, and he goes, nope, I ain't never going. No, I ain't going back there. Nope. No, he's my buddy, but that's great. Now, hey, we gotta talk to you a little bit. Now I know we can't say the upcoming adventure series that was filmed at Western Block. We can't say it because I know you're on a NDA clause and all that, but you're sitting in front of a safe. Now there's these huge safes there, just like unbelievable safes, and one you never had the combination to it.
Yeah.
So
this is actually the third safe. So we have two. They're built in, stacked one on top of each other. And then we had a third safe that we never really mentioned because we didn't want people breaking in and trying to break in, be the cracker. So we kind of kept it a little hush hush. But when the Western Block closed, the new owner took over and he was never given the combination for it. The other two had been opened and the combo stamped on the handles, so we knew those. But we had this huge one right behind me, and we have no idea how they got it into this room, first of all. No clue, like, how because it's a stone building with doors that don't seem in any part seem wide enough to be able to get this thing in here, and then up to a second floor where it is now. But it just sat here closed since around 2000. So a long time. And we finally had the opportunity to get somebody in and open it up. And it was a super treat. Of course, we're missing a couple keys, but.
Here's the thing. These people come in, they open it up for us, make us wait downstairs.
Yes. We had no idea. We couldn't see what was going on or what was in it.
They didn't even tell us about it.
Damn network. They're all the same. Damn networks.
We're like, okay, cool. We're gonna finally see what's in it. And they freaking closed it because they needed to do B-roll with it closed. So
they closed it. We never saw what was in it. And we didn't have the combo. We didn't know how to open it.
Nope. So we end up getting the combo from the guy that they brought in to open it.
Yeah.
And then for 2 days, we're playing with it. We can't get it. And I don't know why I thought of it, but instead.
We modified a way of doing it.
Correct.
We'll leave it at that.
Right. So the way
nobody has the combo.
I said, do it the way he did it and let's see what happens. So she does it the way he did it and nothing. And I'm like, that can't be right. He gave you what he did. So I walk over and I start turning the thing. And I'm like, as I'm turning it, I'm going, oh shit, this is going to open. I get to the top of it and go like this. And she turns around. She goes, what the hell did you just do? I'm like, just turned it back to where it was supposed to be. And it popped open.
I was so excited.
We haven't locked it or closed it since.
No.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You'll never get it opened again. Now, obviously, I mean, we can say that there was really nothing that of value. They had already stripped it out. But
yeah. So what they did find were a couple of keys, and those keys have walked somewhere We're not exactly sure
They're in somebody's
where
collection.
they moved to.
Listen,
So,
as a collector myself,
mhm.
and Frank will attest to it. We know that they're in somebody's collection,
And
right now.
I've helped him collect things, so yes, we know.
Yes, yes. Frank, my buddy Frank is a partner in crime sometimes, and we're not going to go any further than that.
It's
Nothing,
good.
nothing of value. Let's put it that way. Nothing of value. This is garbage.
Yeah.
I'll go, Frank, I need something from this place. Oh, well, I'll just go into the dumpster. Hold on.
This
So,
little
I
mini
hold him by his feet and he pull, hey, you need this? You think this is cool? But that's the way it works with us together. But now, what do you guys what's the future of Western Block? What are you guys planning? What are you guys thinking about pushing it a little bit further? You guys definitely have all of the investigations and stuff going on. And tell everybody. Oh, I know what I was going to bring up. Tell everybody about, and this is something I think is so freaking cool. You guys have Children's Days. Tell everybody about that. That's like super awesome.
Go ahead.
All right. So we were being approached by a lot of people asking us if they could bring their kids to the public tours. And there's a lot of the tours are held at night, and there's a lot of stuff we cover. And we don't G-rate it, we don't PG rate it whatsoever, and we get a lot of interaction, very curious interaction on our spirit boxes that not appropriate for the kids. So we got to
Yeah.
thinking, and we thought that, having a family session where families can bring their kids and do it in a very PG rated way, to allow, kids to have that exploration, while parents are there to help guide them, and cover some of those topics like death in a more positive way, as well as getting kids set on the right path from the get-go of, don't trespass, always bring a friend, a buddy, somebody to investigate with, and just doing it safely and respectfully. That would be a great opportunity for kids to get involved, and parents who wanted to bring their kids and have them involved, to do so. So we started up in afternoon, daylight type, family group hunt, and they've been a blast. And let me tell you, these kids are exceptional. They get, I think, more interaction than a lot of the adults do. So it's a ton of fun, and we've actually learned a lot. And we've met new spirits because of the kids. Spirits that tend to come around for our adults now too. So really
That's
interesting.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, real quickly, I do have a question. Has there been any deaths that have been reported on the property?
So yes, there's been a ton of deaths. There's been murders. As part of the prohibition and the movement of alcohol, mafia would get rid of their problems, and the problems were people that they would dump in the raceways and chuck them out to 18 Mile Creek and see ya, to Lake Ontario. But there was also accidental deaths. Children used to work on the factory machinery. There's a lot of accidents with that. There were accidents with, from adults. And there was accidents prior too. So I was a little bit of a combination of both, some intentional, some unintentional.
Now, what's next? What's next for Western Block? What are you foreseeing? Because I know that you've built so much. I mean, I was there when you guys were on the ground floor, and I've been watching you guys build and build and build on your successes, which is great. What's next?
Well, I mean, I feel like we've only just, brushed the very top layer of all the possibilities. From the history itself, just this past year in October, we uncovered a lot of stuff about the owner's sister. So that's been a whirlwind of one rabbit hole after another, but it really, got us involved in learning about how John D. Rockefeller's money wound up in this place, in this location, this whole complex. So there's a lot of interesting things that we still have to uncover, as well as preserving the history of this place. So we've got a third floor that has all sorts of files and documents, including the contracts the Western Bloc used to do for militaries way back in World War I. Very historical, very significant stuff that needs to be scanned, needs to be preserved. And then the site itself, it's always been a goal for me to continue to renovate the complex, preserving its history. So I'd love to get to a point where, I can really not only preserve the raceway, the active raceway that exists now, but start to uncover the old channels that are on the property and, stabilize some of that and then stabilize the rest of the structure and then develop it, put in a nice little brewery or something like that on the outskirts to pay homage to when this was, very active during the Prohibition. So things like that,
That's awesome.
as well as
That's
building
awesome.
on, the private investigations and all the public stuff we do. So yeah.
So how
I
can
think-
they get a hold of you guys? I mean, let's face it, you know, we know that Frank can be reached at any place that has weights and a tractor tire. So
I love my tires.
yes, you do. We've seen videos of you flipping tires that, like, if I even tried to lift them up, parts of my body would fall down my leg, and they're not going to go any further than that. So how can we get a hold of you guys, to find out more of what's going on up at the Western Block?
That cute little website you see going across the screen, that way. You can find out all our info there. We're also on Facebook, so Paranarga, and we're linked with Buffalo Phantom Hunters. So either of us, just get a hold of us, and yeah, go from there.
Sounds awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and hanging out, because why? You
Because
guys
we're
are
the
like,
cool kids.
listen,
We're the cool kids.
what you are. I'll just say yeah with you guys. So anyway, stay on there. I want to thank you guys. I want to
Awesome.
thank you guys personally for
You.
being on here, and I
Thank
appreciate
you
it
for
so
inviting us.
much.
Appreciate
This
Yeah,
was so
definitely.
great. Putting up with my voice that's like hoarse today.
Aw.
So
Thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate it too, guys. Come out to Western Block. Come and do a private or come and do a public and hang out with us. It's a lot of fun.
it
Have
always
fun.
is.
Yeah, we
It
always have
always
fun.
is. It always is. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for being here tonight. We had a great time. Western Block is one of my favorite places to go. It really is. I wouldn't say that just because they're my friends. If I thought it wasn't that good, I wouldn't plug it. I think it's a great location. It's got so much potential. If you guys are looking for, let's say, a location that you want a special event at, it's perfect. You got a nice large area. It's got beautiful galleries in there. It's got so much potential. The history is amazing. It's right across from the modern Erie Canal. So guys, take a ride out there and check it out. It's on Marcus Street up in Lockport, New York. You've been listening to the Black Cat Lounge. I have been your most congenial host, Tim Shaw, and you have been where the elite meet, next to the dumpster transfer station. Ciao, babies. Everybody be good, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.